Meanwhile, I will bring up Hans on the stage, but before I do that, the bus that you saw in the picture, you will also see in reality standing outside. And actually talking about buses, you know, we launched at Scania a new truck a few years ago, and since it's the same modular system for trucks and buses, we usually after a while after we launch the truck comes with a new bus generation. I don't know, it might soon happen. There is a Bus World exhibition in a few days. Maybe you should stay tuned for that one. But now, Hans, my good old friend, coming in here. We usually talk Swedish to each other, so we were going to do that now as well, and then I will translate. But Hans, tell us a little bit about the story of your company.
I'm sorry, I speak only bad English. So better for us all when Henrik translate to English.
Better to speak bad English than dirty English, so that's good.
Företaget är 64 år gammalt och samarbetet med Scania har pågått i 60 år.
So the company is 64 years old in Finland, and the cooperation with Scania has been going on for 60 years.
Ja, och jag var själv med och påverka för 60 år sedan att vi blev kunder i Scania.
And he was part 60 years ago of you can't believe that he was very young at that time to make sure that Scania became the prime customer and prime supplier to Ahola.
Jag sa åt pappa när jag såg en Scania L51, sån bil ska vi ha.
He saw that when he saw one of the old-timer Scanias at that time, brand new, LT51, he told his dad, that's what I want to have.
Jo, idag har vi Ahola Transport tre affärssegment, road transport, specialtransport och IT.
Today it's three areas. It's road transport, the company, it is special transport, and it's IT. So three different business areas, and I think a fleet of around 400 units.
Ja, och största är som sagt det här internationella transporter, road transport.
And the biggest one is international road transport, mainly in Scandinavia, but also quite a big foothold into Eastern Europe.
Ja. Och vi har också utvecklat ett eget affärskoncept mot kunderna som vi kallar för dynamisk logistik, direkt från leverantör till mottagare utan terminalhantering.
And I think the key sort of competitive edge that Ahola is providing is a vad kallar det?
Dynamisk logistik eller direkta transport.
So I think we would translate it into dynamic logistics, which is basically a tailor-made solution. You know, most logistical companies, they work today that they bring in freight from different areas, they consolidate that freight in a warehouse, central warehouse, then they sort of pack it together for new routes. That is quite a lengthy process, and that takes quite long time from the goods to go from A to B. What Hans in his company is doing, that they created a different system, which is actually taking it from point to point directly. But of course, that requires some things.
Varje morgon säger vi att vad har kunderna för behov, vad är resurserna, hur får vi en bra mix ihop som motsvarar kundens förväntningar.
Yeah, so this requires then that every morning they're doing a real-time planning of actually what the specific need for their customer base is and where they need to move goods.
Ja, alla de här 450 bilarna är varje sekund tillgänglig för kundernas behov.
And the system is all connected, so basically the 400 vehicles that are on the road are constantly available for the customers to sort of pick up their goods and create a solution.
Ja, på grund av att vi har ett annat koncept än andra så fanns det inte på marknaden något affärssystem som passade för oss, så därför har vi byggt ett eget system.
So since everyone else is operating with a different model, and this is in the beginning of 90s, Ahola was forced to actually develop their own software platform system. And I hope you understand the difference that, I mean, this is quite a unique structure in a transport and logistics today, that you actually are so flexible that every morning you can just deploy your whole fleet and you actually go directly from when the customer wants to go to the end station immediately. You don't go through different sort of logistical points.
Ja. Så kundernas behov utgör nya rutter varje dag.
So the customer's requirements is completely new routes every day.
Och därför har vi byggt med datat granulerat så vi kan visualisera alla behov i realtid på våra servicetower, kundbehov resurserna och hur de är sammankopplade.
So basically they connect all the different needs. They break down the data granularly, and also that they had to sort of invest and build this data system themselves to be able to meet this specific customer need. No system was available in the market.
Ja. Och nu har vi sett att det här ATRAX som vi kallar digitala logistikplattformen är skalbart för olika ekosystem.
And now the system turned out to a real product that is called ATRAX, that is sort of like the third pillar of the Ahola group when it comes to the IT. And that system now can be applied into different kinds of parts of the ecosystem of transport and logistics.
Det kan vi göra för att vi har byggt det för oberoende av fraktbärare, oberoende av godstyp.
So it doesn't matter if you're carrying sort of goods on different kinds of vehicle size or what sort of type of goods it is. It doesn't matter. It works anyway.
Ja, så idag har vi 4 ekosystem: roadtransport, projekt och special, persontrafik och som förslutna områden.
Yeah, so it's for different kinds of areas where it's included not only goods but also personal traffic and also for closed off areas like a harbor.
Ja. Och det 5:e håller vi på att bygga multimodalt så att oberoende, ska vi se, det kan vara järnväg, hamn operations, färja och lastbil, allting i en och i realtid allting.
So you can run it actually multimodal, so that includes then shipping of big ferries and also rail and so on. So it's a multimodal system. But I will, Hans is a little bit modest, so I will break in here. I mean, this is a super unique system that has been developed by a company that is a transport company from the beginning, that has an IT department now which is like 10 times the size of a normal transport company. Ahola has become an IT company just as much as a transport company to be able to build this platform. And that platform is of course unique then, and that can be deployed. But it's also that when you visit Hans in Finland and you go into his control room, it is the size of this room here. And it's, I think, 64 meters of screens.
Ja, 64 meters.
64 meters of screens, that size, where you have everything real time, and there's around 70 people sitting and running the operation real time. I mean, as a customer, if you call and say, I want to have a transport from A to B, and you get it basically the same day, that is a unique selling point, and that is making this company so successful. Hans, I think we need to go into talking about this as well.
En sak till.
Yeah.
Vi kan även i realtid visa samma saker virtuellt åt våra kunder. Alltså utsläpp och realtid på godset.
Very important. All the data that's real time in the control tower, of course, that can be provided also to the customer.
Ja.
And specific data for specific parcels and for specific loads, then down to the detail of not of course time and cost, but also CO2 emissions that is becoming more and more important.
Ja.
But we're also doing this together. This is truck platooning. And I know that up in northern Finland, you have been running this for quite some time. Can you just briefly tell me what is the reaction from you as the owner of the transport company, and then the reaction from the drivers?
Ja, som ni känner till så är det stor brist på chaufförer i Europa.
Ja.
Och en stor orsak varför det är brist på chaufförer är det att de har inte så bra socialt liv.
Ja. So one of the big challenges in the transport company today is to find drivers, and there is a big shortage in Europe, roughly 50,000 drivers, and the reason is of course that no one wants to be away from the family all the time.
Och lika hos oss som Nobina så är det över 50 år medelålder på chaufförerna.
And just like Nobina, the average age is just increasing. No young people want to come into the profession.
För att kunna locka in yngre personer så tror vi att det här är rätt beslut att vara med i det här projektet.
So to attract young drivers to come into the vehicles and to come into the profession of a driver, these kind of systems is a necessity.
Så chaufförerna som är med i det här är väldigt stolta och intresserade och engagerade i det här projektet.
Ja, och hur mycket bränsle sparar ni ungefär?
Ja,
vet du det?
Det är mellan 5 och 20%.
Yeah. So the drivers that are part of this system are very proud of it, but also as a owner of the company, of course, running in this operation saves around 5 to 7% fuel.
om man räknar ihop alla, också första bilen.
If you include everything, including the first truck,
Ja.
which is quite extraordinary.
Ja.
So I think that just shows how the partnership where we are trying to develop technology together as well.
Det som behövs förstås är också andra samarbetspartner, universitet, myndigheter, trafikministeriet, infra,
Ja.
allt det här för att kunna koppla ihop någonstans det här. Vi måste ha utrymme att koppla ihop det här platoning också i framtiden.
Yeah. So to finish up, what Hans is saying is that, I mean, for this to develop further, we need close cooperation between academia, between policymakers, the ones who owns the infrastructure, and of course the transport company and suppliers of technology. Then we can create this in big scale.
Och Statens vägverk i Norge tog kontakt med oss i fjol och ville ha en test med oss också. Och det gjorde vi, och i nästa ska vi göra nästa med dem i mera krävande förhållanden.
Yeah. And now Norway, the government of Norway is asking for Ahola to come in and demonstrate.
Ahola and Scania.
And Scania in northern Finland, northern Norway, where we have snow and icy conditions as well. And I think we can also say that there is requests from Russia as well. So I think good results of what we're doing together. So thank you very much, Hans. And Hans will be here also for questions if you have anything further on during the Q&A. Thank you very much, Hans. So coming back to Joachim, you are coming back as well to join me here on stage, and
Yes.
let's move over a little bit to close the chapter around autonomous and move over to battery management, which is another area of software and systems.
So, as we already talked about now, we have talked about autonomous and connected vehicles. Then there's one element left in these ACE technologies, and then we are talking about the electrification part of this. And this is, of course, electrification as such is a key enabler for a more sustainable transport solution. And this is something that the TRATON Group, of course, as you already heard, is focusing on. And one core element then is zero emission. And to do zero emission, we, of course, need the one key enabler is then the electromobility, and it's ranking really high on the TRATON agenda at the moment. So also in the area of e-mobility, a wide variety of customer demands exists, of course, and to be able to meet these, we need to do one of those common modular toolboxes that we've been talking about. So that's not only valid for the mechanical parts, but battery is a mechanical part as well. But this is something that we are working on at the moment. So if we then look at this electrification, we break it down to the need and range that we have of our systems. We need batteries, as we see on the screen here, and the batteries have to be managed in the right way so that we can get the range that we need, because range is a thing here. So energy management is something that is really providing the solution for the future. So we take this challenge on as a company or as a group to develop them, and to do this and to enable the optimal usage of the energy content of a battery, we need a very intelligent and smart battery management system. And this is, of course, again, a lot of software. It's electronics and it's software.
Yeah, and that is something we're developing in the group, in the TRATON group, both together in Munich and in Södertälje, and of course the connected vehicles that we talked about before, all the data that we collected together with our customers that we can use, of course, also to optimize different side of applications in battery management systems.
Connectivity comes into play again.
Yes. Yeah, it's like a loop.
Exactly, yeah. So this battery management systems handles the battery then, makes sure that we have the right life length, the optimal use of the battery, so the customer gets the experience that he wants. So it's also dependent then on the customer use case, the driving distance that the customer needs, the climate we are operating in, of course, and the load that we are carrying at that moment. So, and it's not only that, because there's a rather intense development when it comes to battery technologies and different chemistries that are coming onto the market. And to be able to handle this fast-growing area, we need to handle this by our own battery management system. So to handle battery concepts and chemistries, that's another reason to do this.
And apart from battery management, of course, what we need also is batteries, and this is the key example we have when it comes to working together with a battery manufacturer when it comes to battery cells. And this is Northvolt, a Swedish startup that Scania invested in early a few years ago, and where now Volkswagen Group has come in and also invested. And of course, the advantage of working with Northvolt here is that we can not only secure availability of battery cells, which will be a shortage the coming 5-6 years at least, and it's also that we can, together with this player, we can start to develop tailor-made cells eventually that are more tailored for commercial vehicles than passenger cars as it is today. So here, of course, we will see a lot of cooperation coming through. There's a team from Northvolt out here in the exhibition. Please go and visit them, talk to them, listen to what they have to say. I think the cooperation here is very tight, and I think we will be able to learn a lot here. It's also not only about the battery cells, it's also about how do we put these cells together in modules. Here in the TRATON group, we can cooperate that and make sure that we try to standardize on module size, which is a number of cells then, and then the modules we put into a battery pack, and that can be like here in the floor. That's one pack, and it could be on the side of the vehicles, and of course there we have a lot of work to be done as well, apart from all the electrical components. I think with that we're starting to wrap up our session here. I think we can say that we also use software in, of course, a number of areas where we try to develop not only our hardware, our services, but also our business models. We mentioned before the Smart Factory Lab. I know that in MAN we have also a
digital lab.
We also have done Rio, who you will be able to meet outside, which is a company with a business model based on more advanced logistical solutions. Andreas mentioned a cooperation with Volkswagen Concern Logistic before, but they have much more to offer. And of course also we have out in exhibition Sender, which is a startup that started a few years ago and today is Europe's biggest digital freight forwarder platform for full truckloads. So, and they are growing dramatically and in good speed. So I think all of this together, what we're doing on the software and system side, both in our products when it comes to the ACE technologies and when it comes to our business models, is just showing the importance of this subject today and how that drives innovation. I think with that, we stop and we open up for a few questions. If there are any.
If there are any questions.
Yes.
We have one in the back. I'll go all the way back, or maybe you can pause it. Let's see if I can stretch. Good.
Thank you. I've got a question on the autonomous topic. So Volkswagen, your parents, made a massive investment in Argo AI, which is a company in which it's co-invested with Ford. And I think that 2.6 billion or whatever it is that they put in is significantly bigger than the kind of resource that you're able to throw at your own autonomous efforts. And given that I think, in theory, you should have access to that technology, I'm surprised that you haven't mentioned it in your presentation. Is that because you don't have full access to it, or is it that it's longer dated, or just completely different? What's the rationale?
Should you answer that one? Yeah.
Of course, we will look what the group is doing, and of course we are in close cooperation with Volkswagen on these areas. And Argo is of course one alternative, and there is maybe a handful of platforms that we can use globally that I think all manufacturers of cars and heavy commercial vehicles will eventually be depending on as part of this stack, this multi-layer stack to provide an autonomous vehicle. Part of that stack will be outside suppliers, part of it will be the TRATON group, and part of it will be unique MAN or Scania sort of layers. But of course we are looking at that because I mean the amount of money you need to invest in this sort of basic platform that you are talking about, like the Argo, there will probably in the world only eventually be less than this. So we are all depending on that and waiting on it. But how quick things will go and when that will come into play, how much that will be focused on passenger car and how much that will sort of apply to the commercial vehicles, it's a little bit too early to say. But we have a great advantage of being part of the bigger family when it comes to not only electrification, but also when it comes to autonomous. So it's a good point.
Yeah. And for sure we will have partners in this area because, as we said, this is an enormous investment and an enormous development effort.
Okay. More questions now? Otherwise the bus is leaving if you want to go and see the AXL live.
We have already done it.
if you haven't done it. Otherwise, any more questions? Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you for your attention. And we are available here at the scene if you want to talk with us in private.